Before we get into our special guest, Daniella from Havwoods, giving her presentation, I thought I'd just give you a little bit of information about APC. So APC offers the Diploma of Interior Design and Advanced Diploma of Interior Design, and diplomas of Graphic Design and Advanced Diplomas of Graphic Design. So if you are interested in studying design, APC is a great place to do that. Focusing on interior design, because that's what most of you are here for, when you study interior design with APC, you will be studying the subjects of interior design drawing techniques, residential interiors 1, interior structures, modeling interiors, so that's a lot of SketchUp and 3D modeling, specifying interiors, interiors for the less able, restoration interiors, and then a bit more on residential interiors, building on what you've learned prior in the course to get you ready for an industry job. One of the questions we get a lot about, why should I study interior design and how does interior design differ from interior decoration? And I find this little image is quite helpful. To be a successful interior designer, you do need formal training, because there are so many things to do with building codes and the technical aspects of the industry that the industry will expect you to have when you're going to get a job. And that is why our Diploma of Interior Design is such a great place to get that qualification, because we focus on those technical skills while also giving you some space to be creative. And now here, to get some real industry contact with our amazing partners, Havwoods International. So on that note, I would like to introduce everybody to Daniella, who will now take over and share with us her wealth of knowledge.
Thank you, Rachel, and good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here with us today. Look, I'm really excited to present our products today. Oops. Okay, so just a little background about Havwoods. So to start with, we're an engineer. We supply engineered oak, timber flooring. So we supply to all sorts of sectors: residential, commercial, hospitality, etc. We were established back in 1975 in the UK, so we've got over 40 years experience in the industry, and in Australia we've been operating probably over the last 8 years more so. So we've got a great background of history behind us. Next. So as mentioned, we originated in the UK, so we have a large global presence. We are located we're spread out across the globe, North America, Europe, and yeah, as I said, Australia and New Zealand as well. So it just means that we have the reach to distribute all across the world, wherever your project may be. And we have showrooms dotted all around, so you can visit if you are in another country. Okay. So just sort of summarizing what we've got listed here, we have a great range of product selection, so over 200 products. So this just means that we've got an extensive collection of designs, colors, so something that will suit every project, every budget, any kind of scope of project. So mentioned before, global presence for over 20 countries. We have a large stock holding. So here in Australia, our head office is in New South Wales. We keep everything in stock, therefore we eliminate any large lead times that often businesses would encounter for large projects. So we do pride ourselves on our delivery and very fast service, including our sample delivery as well. We do have showrooms as well, as mentioned. So I'm here in Sydney and in the CBD, but we've got a showroom in Melbourne and Newcastle. And I foresee that we will have many more opening up other parts of the country. So just a little list of some of the clients we work with. As you see here, we do a lot of commercial and hospitality, some big brands there. So we're well established in the I guess in the design sector, as well as building, and yeah, a large part of what we do is commercial and retail. I won't go through the whole list. So the aims of this presentation are really to understand the different types of wood flooring and the construction, to learn about the difference between oiled and lacquered finishes. We want to familiarise ourselves with the product range and to understand different fixing methods of timber flooring. So you're really up to speed with the whole sort of package when specifying for projects. I'll start on the certified products. So we like to carry a lot of sustainable material. We're all very eco-conscious nowadays. So we pride ourselves on our eco labels that we supply. So given that most of our products are from Europe, the standards of the European market are very high, and their eco sense is far superior to many other in the world. So we pride ourselves on our forestry sort of sensibility and labelling of products. So yeah, we just like to stay up to date with all of that. So you'll see we have the FSC label, PEFC, and a cradle to cradle. So each are different certifications, basically managing the process from sort of growth of material, raw material, all the way through to the way it's manufactured, and monitoring the manufacturing process, the sort of working conditions of the staff, and then being able to ensure that we're replanting trees where we were sort of cutting them down to create the timber material. So to start with, we will sort of run through the differences between timber, well, solid and engineered. So a traditional flooring from hundreds of years ago would be the solid timber construction. So as you see on the left, the solid construction is hardwood all the way through, and you can see the growth rings on the side there. On the right hand side, we've got the engineered construction, which is what we specialise in. So you'll notice that there is a thinner layer of the oak hardwood on the very top, which we call a lamella, or a wear layer. And then underneath you've got several layers, thin layers of plywood, which is also a timber product, and they're multi-layered so that adds to the stability of the board. So this is just a basic understanding of the differences or the construction of solid versus engineered system. So types of wood flooring construction, as I said, we've got solid. So mentioned it's the more traditional way of or method of flooring. Because the construction, the solid boards are not as dimensionally stable, and the planks are more susceptible to moisture and humidity than engineered boards. So as I showed you on that picture before, you can see the growth rings and they're sort of curving. So naturally with any kind of moisture, the boards will want to curve back into their natural round form, like the tree. So it does become a little more unstable. It's not suitable for use with underfloor heating, which a lot of projects these days will be installing. And the entire plank is produced from, the full piece of oak, and therefore it doesn't sort of work with our ethos of the eco-friendly or sustainability. So then we move to the engineered construction. So I know I've already sort of touched on a couple of these points, but it is now becoming the more widely used material globally. And for the reasons as mentioned, it's a more sustainable product because you can get many more boards constructed out of one solid piece of oak. They are suitable for underfloor heating, and the straighter boards do allow for easier installation as opposed to, you know, using your traditional battens and joists and things like that. You could just directly fix to the floor. So yeah, the key points to note: the engineered system is a lot more stable and much easier to install, bringing your costs and also more eco-friendly. So we will touch on now the gradings of timber. So you may be familiar with different grades of timber. We work with a naming system, so prime grade, select grade, character grade, and rustic. So a prime grade, as you'll visually see there, is very clean and there's less variation, less knots, and yeah, just a very sort of uniform look. A select grade will have some minimal knots in their variation. Your character grade will have a lot more, as you see, and then you move on to a rustic grade, which basically has every kind of feature you could sort of imagine. And in terms of the quality of the timber, it doesn't change it at all. It's more an aesthetic or a visual sort of look that one might want to achieve, and that's why you might choose one or the other. So with engineered boards, we do notice there's different detailing, and this is more when the boards are joined together. So you can see a square edge look, which is a very flush sort of appearance. Then you've got a micro beveled edging, and then you've got a 2mm bevel. So once again, this is more an aesthetic, just a design feature of the boards. Does not compromise the quality in any way, and a lot of the engineered boards will have a bevel of some sort. It just sort of, you know, gives a little bit more texture and depth and dimension to your look. So the other great benefit of supplying engineered material is that they come pre-finished. So traditionally with solid boards, you would lay them in their raw form, then you would sand them and then put some kind of coating to protect and or colour. Our engineered boards do come pre-finished, so you can choose the colour as you see it, and then it's already finished and no maintenance required. So the two main types of coatings on the engineered boards would be an oil and lacquer. So I'll actually start with lacquered on the left there. So the lacquered system or lacquer is protecting the wood from the outside. It forms a film on the top layer, and it is a thicker sort of surface or protective layer than, say, an oil. We can provide sort of matte finishes, semi-gloss, so different shine levels, which is all just for aesthetics as well. And then we move on to the oiled coatings. So your traditional oil is protecting the wood from within, so it sort of absorbs into the timber more like a moisturizer. Doesn't form a film and a little bit more porous, so it doesn't form a protective surface. So if you want a really raw, natural look, then your oil could be a great coating to use. Most of ours will have more of the hard wax oil, which is the next one we'll move on to. So you're protecting the timber from within and on the top, so it forms a microporous surface, so therefore it doesn't require any additional coatings, but still very resistant and hardy, but it's a more natural look. So yeah, it's just an aesthetic at the end of the day. So we've talked about coatings, and now we'll talk about different finishings. And so finishings simply refer to the textural elements or the way it sort of appears to the eye. Again, these are all aesthetic looks, design features that are done by the manufacturers in the warehouse. So the brush finish, it's just a wire brushing, so it's quite textured. A sanded look is very smooth and finished, a bit more sleek looking. You've got a smoked board, so it's coloured by way of a smoking process in the factory. A fired board is very similar concept, and it's sort of double smoked essentially, so you're creating a really rich colouring. A sawn look is, as you see there, it's got some lines running across the boards, so give it that kind of warehouse old sort of feeling, similar to the distressed and hand scraped look. So you know, they're just there for that, yeah, really old worldy sort of worn out, just again an aesthetic feature. And then we go on to our weathered and textured. So here we do supply many reclaimed or genuine reclaimed products. So they are just naturally worn and weathered through time, through the ages. So yeah, we like to sort of cover all sorts of different effects for different circumstances. Okay, so we move on to smoking. So as I mentioned just before, we've got a single smoked product, double smoked and fired. Essentially, they're all running through the same sort of process, just different grades or levels of. And what this means is that it actually, where you see the colour, so normally oak is a very blonde looking material in its raw state. Where you see those rich colours coming through, it's actually coming from the smoking process. So there's no stain on top of these colours. They're actually produced by smoking. So it gives a really deep, beautiful sort of rich colouring to it. And it's an aesthetic feature that we can create. So we've developed, so the manufacturers we work with, and we work with several, they're always working on new technologies, including coatings. So we talked about the hard wax oil finish before. This is a sort of extreme version of it. So we've called it Valor. And basically it's achieving a very raw, natural look. You know, typically if I was in front of you, I could be passing around some samples, but it's a really nice raw feel, but it actually gives the hardness, or harder than some of our lacquered boards. So it just makes it great for, as you see here, a commercial office space, really high traffic areas, anti-scratch, you know, really, really durable, beautiful product. So, and easy to spot repair if you did so happen to have a minor scratch or mark. So yeah, this is just a new development that we've worked with our manufacturers on, and something unique, and we're the only ones that will have this kind of coating. So it's 5 times harder than your normal oil. So the next couple of slides are some examples of installations, completed projects, including some examples of what we talked about earlier with different finishes and beveled edging. Here we have a beveled edge. So you get to see in the light the definition of the boards. So yeah, it's just a nice way to see them installed together. So we'll just flick through some of the images. So this is a product that's an unfinished. So we do also supply an unfinished raw engineered board, where you can actually apply your own stain or coating to your own choosing. And this is an example here where they've just used their own clear coating to create a very natural look. So on the wall, we can see that we've installed our sawn and smoked product. So very rustic looking, textured, lots of variation. So you can achieve a really nice feature. So it also gives an example of how you can use it other than flooring. So you can use our boards for other applications, as you see. And this is a smooth sanded UV oiled product, so a residential image here. Yeah, it just shows you've got that kind of sleek, really finished sort of look. Again, it's an aesthetic more than anything. And this is an example of a distressed and oiled oak. This is a hand cut bevel, so this is actually a customized product, but it is something that we can offer and supply should your project require. It may not be very clear to see in the image, but on the beveled edges where the planks join, it's actually very rough and wavy lines. So it's really just to create that old sort of worn warehouse look. And here we have a reclaimed timber, and it's a painted finish, so it's just really rustic, really raw, in a chevron pattern, and it is actually flooring, but it's been used on a wall in this instance. So yeah, we're just trying to show you what we can do and the products we offer. So we'll move on to our installation and fixing methods. So as I mentioned earlier, if we were talking a traditional solid timber, you would be laying or nailing it onto battens and joists, so little raised pieces on your floor, elevated. So here with engineered products, you actually can install it directly glued to your subfloor, or you can do a floating install. And by floating, we actually are talking about a dry lay. It's not actually elevated off the floor. So the easiest and the quickest way is the floating method, and you would be looking at a product that has a locking system where they join together, so a click lock. And that means you just click them together and you sit them straight on the floor with an underlay underneath. And then the glue down method gives you a bit more of a secure feel if that's the preference. And we'll talk further about that in the next coming slide. Maybe not. So I will touch on I might go back to the other slide, sorry. I'll just talk about the floating and glue down once again. So floating, as I said, it's dry laying. The reasons why you might choose the floating over the glue down, it could come down to price, it could come down to time, because it is a very quick install method. It will be cheaper for the installer to lay it for that reason. And, if you've got a temporary project where you think you might be, in a tenancy and you want to lift it up after a couple of years, that's also a great option. And then you glue down, as I said, it's a more secure floor, it's a more permanent floor. It gives you that more solid feeling underfoot, and you don't necessarily need to use an underlay if you are gluing directly to your subfloor. As you notice though, it has to be fully troweled on. So no squiggly lines under the boards. But yeah, so that's just a little bit more of an extension on installation, but happy to answer any questions down the track. So what we'll do now is touch on some of our actual product ranges. So this is designed from Havwoods. This simply is our design range, which is pattern floors. So we look at herringbone and Versailles panels and chevron designs. So just to list a couple of notes or points, as I said, it's a collection of herringbone and chevron. We stock it in an oak. It does say elm. We've got one product that's an elm product. They're pre-finished. They're supplied as small little blocks like a traditional parquetry, and you install them piece by piece. So essentially they're just a miniature version of a straight board. Most of them are a tongue and groove profile joining system, and others click together, as I mentioned, like the floating system before. The Euro Planck collection, it is a clicking system. Most of the products have the brushed finish or the wire brushing. You can glue them down, I should mention. So if the product has a clicking mechanism, then you can still glue them down. We offer two different thicknesses, and by that it just really means a slightly thinner layer of oak on top. It brings down cost. Maybe if you're retrofitting, it might be a good option if you want to sit something on top of an existing floor and not lose your ceiling height. So yeah, effectively you can see here we've got 30 and 20-year residential warranties. So you can be quite comfortable and confident knowing that your floor is going to last, you know, the longevity of your life in the house potentially, or a commercial space. So this one here is our Henley range, and I discussed earlier the texture and distress finishes. So this collection will mostly cover those products. We do sell some that clip together and some that you can glue down. Basically, you'll probably see across all the slides and all the ranges, they're all suitable for use over underfloor heating. That's a running theme. Typically all will be suitable for glue down as well as clicking together, and the warranties are very high as well. The Italian collection is actually one of our more traditional looking flooring. So we, as you can see, we offer a parquetry, herringbone and chevron that match the planks. Very small block sizes, even the planks are quite narrow, so they give that really beautiful, like mid-century modern sort of look, and that old school parquetry, which it's beautiful, very classic. And there's 4 colours currently in the collection, all made in Europe, FSC certified. They are a thinner product, so it means great for, as I said, retrofitting, or if you've got ramping sort of issues where you need to slightly raise the flooring. Our Parky range, this is also a really great range, all prime grade, so therefore a clean grade of timber. They are a thinner product, so 7.2 millimeters overall. They are great if you say, this is probably our lower range in terms of budget, so great if you sort of on a tighter budget. You can glue them or click them together. The thin layer of oak on top just means that it's a lot harder because it's on a HDF substrate, and that's a really hard kind of like product really. So yeah, it's just a nice, I guess if you're looking at or considering a laminate, for example, this is a nice alternative in the same kind of price range and look, but you know that it's a real timber, so you get that beautiful natural quality. Our Pure Plank collection, similar to our Euro Plank I discussed earlier, they click together. You can do a floating install, you can glue them. They're quite lightweight, so great for walls and vertical use. All made in Europe and have the FSC label. You have the matte lacquer finishes and some in an oil for a more natural appearance. And yeah, we can see them glued or floating, as I said before. Relic range, this is something that is our reclaimed collection. So we stock our genuine reclaimed products. So that image you see there, top left, is a barn oak, and it's reclaimed from probably hundreds of years ago. So we see it used for flooring or vertical use, joinery, all sorts of different applications. Within that same range, we sell reproduction reclaimed. So it is designed to look like it's been reclaimed, and very distressed, and yeah, just has some really beautiful qualities. So they're all oak, suitable for underfloor heating, and you would glue all of these down as well. Something that's quite new to our collection, we typically focused on interior products, but we've just introduced what we call Trekker composite decking. So here we have a European-made product. It's made of wood and plastic. They are recycled and can be recycled after finishing with it. So yeah, we're sort of proud to bring this range out. As you see, you've got 3 different colours, 2 different finishes, a wood grain and a fluted sort of texture. The nice thing about these products is that they're all hidden fixings, so there's no top nailing, no like exposed nails or screws or anything like that. They're very slip resistant, so perfect for pool or wet areas, weatherproof. low maintenance, no, you know, application of oil or top coating or anything like that. Very, very dense, very heavy. So, you know, they're going to be quite stable and heavy duty. And then you'll just see we've got all the trims that go with it. So a fascia is just the bit that's, you know, goes around the edge of a deck if it's elevated to cover any joists or beams. And then a stair nosing. So if you've got stairs that lead down or up, I should say. So yeah, it's just something new to our collection, and also very good if you're designing for a fire zone, say a house that's in a fire zone. We've got great fire ratings on these products where timber might not be allowed to be used. Our V collection is beautiful range. So we've got smooth sanded, mostly lacquered. Again, it's sort of our mid-range, low to mid-range pricing lacquered boards. So you'll find that they're great for commercial use as well as high traffic residential. But yeah, we've mostly got character and rustic grades now, and you can use them over underfloor heating too. The Valor range I did touch on earlier. So they, as I said, they're a new technology of oil, so 5 times harder than your UV hard wax, give a very natural look. They're a rustic grade, so yeah, they just have that nice knots and character. We do have them as certified, forestry certified and cradle to cradle. Yeah, they're a sort of a thinner product, so therefore also really great if you're fitting over the top of existing flooring. You don't want to lose any ceiling height. 8 colours, as you see in the collection, and yeah, very resistant, scratch resistant, moisture resistant, so perfect for any high traffic area. Our Venture Planck collection. So here we come sort of more into our high-end or premium range. They are made in Europe. We sell in a 20 mil thickness and a 13 mil thickness. We see they're UV oiled, so they have a very nice, smooth, natural feeling. Some are smoked, and they have a 25-year residential warranty. So again, very hardy. And backed by the manufacturer. We have not only flooring, but we do sell a range of vertical products. So you'll see the top left and the bottom. This is a reclaimed oak and pine painted. So it's an unfinished raw product, so therefore use only vertically or on a ceiling, for example. And then on the right, you'll see some cork cladding. So it's all very textural, or like quite, yeah, 3D. So this is something new for our collection, and we're it's great. I guess we're seeing it more in the commercial sector because it offers some really nice acoustic benefits as well as a decorational feature. So they're all made in Europe as well, come from Portugal. And yeah, just lots of different effects and textures that you can come across. And that concludes the presentation. Thank you so much. And I'm very happy to answer any questions you might have at the end. But yeah, thanks for your time and thank you for listening. I hope it was informative.
Thank you so much, Daniella. They are just the most beautiful products. It makes me want to renovate my house and do some flooring. Just gorgeous. I think now, thank you, we will open it up for questions if there are any.
There are. So the first question we have is actually about engineered construction. So the question is an engineered construction less sustainable due to the chemical glue used to stick the layers together?
Well, the sustainability comes from the actual timber itself. So we talk about the way it's grown and the way it's managed and produced. The glues are chemical based, yes, but the companies or the manufacturers we work with work on very low VOC, low or zero formaldehyde that most people are aware or familiar with. So a more sort of eco-considered chemical makeup. So therefore it's, I guess glues aren't necessarily a sustainable material, but we work on the fact that the product or the raw material itself is sustainable. I hope that helps.
Yeah. There's a second part to the question, which is, does it require more work in terms of arriving at the final product? Like, do you also evaluate sustainability in terms of how long it takes to finish a product?
Yes. So look, in all honesty, there is definitely there's a involvement of transportation. So yes, shipping, that does impact the environment. So yeah, look, we haven't really solved that problem as yet. But again, we're just talking about the raw materials at the moment. So, but I will say, like, if everything, I mean, if we're talking, say, using Australian hardwoods, we're not up to date with sustainability here as much as we are over in Europe. So, I guess if we're cutting down trees here, we haven't got the same standards or procedures in mind.
Okay, great, thanks. And Rachel, I've got a question for you now about the interior design qualification. Lena is actually a designer. She's a designer of commercial spaces in visual merchandising, and she's interested in transferring to her vet qualification to interior design, and she's asking how much it is per term.
Great. Well, we'd love to have you as a first point. So at the moment, we have some great prices because we're in the virtual learning environment at the moment. So normal prices are advertised on our website, but for VLE at the moment, a current term would cost you $1,500.
Fantastic. And I also have a similar question from Emily, who said, to start this course, do I need to have any previous prior knowledge or a portfolio to apply?
Yeah, great question. So for the Diploma of Interior Design, there is no formal entry requirements. So you do need to fulfill the minimum English requirements to study in the course. However, there's no portfolio requirement. The qualification is designed for you to come in with no prior knowledge and learn from the basics.
Great, great. I have another question for you, Daniella. It's about Havwoods. Does Havwoods only operate in Australia, or do you export to other countries?
No, so our base is actually in the UK. So we do transport to other countries, and a lot of our supply does come from Europe and overseas, or all of our supply, I should say. So yes, we do export to other countries, whichever country is closest to our main hub. So if it's closer to Australia, we'll export it there. If it's closer to Europe, it will come out of the UK, for example. So yes, we do, to answer your question.
Great. I have another question here regarding the government's rescue plan. What are your thoughts on how this affects interior design and renovations?
Is that for me?
Yeah, sorry, Daniella, yes.
Okay, that's all right. What are my thoughts on it? So, I mean, I can just talk about what I'm seeing already. And I've definitely noticed a boost in inquiries. A lot of, say, residential homeowners are really ramping up their decision to move forward with renovations, or look into it at least. Now that the government has sort of is giving these packages where they qualify, I think people are really confident and happier to proceed, where they were on hold for a few months prior to now. So yeah, I'm seeing an increase definitely.
It is increasing demand, the
Yeah,
rescue plan.
yeah.
Okay, Winnie has a question about flooring. She said, I understand that wood floor is not suitable for wet floor, but what about the space edged or close to wet areas? Which installation methods, wood type, or do you have any other suggestions? So,
yeah, so look, yeah, we don't recommend timber in a wet area, and by that we sort of consider a bathroom where there might be a shower recess, laundry and that sort of thing. So you can have it close to a wet area, as long as there's good ventilation. If there is water that's dragged like on the floor, if it's just wiped up, it will be resistant and it won't soak in. The coatings will help protect that. In terms of installation, it won't matter which way you install. It's more about the top coating of the timber that protects it in those situations. So you could glue it down or you can do floating. As long as the underside of the timber isn't wet, there's no moisture rising and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And I have another question about finishing. What is the most popular finish at the moment?
I would say the smoother sanded product. That would be in reference to our residential clients or end users. So yeah, I'd say a smooth finish typically is the more popular.
Mm-hmm. And what about for commercial spaces?
For commercial, we also see the smooth finish for ease of cleaning and things like that. But if we're talking about a hospitality space, for example, we might go with something quite rustic and very textured, because it sort of hides marks and things
Wear
like
and
that.
tear.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, awesome. We did have a question from Lena, Rachel, about our fees. And could you just please explain the differences between our tuition fee relief for design and for our other vet courses?
Sorry about that. I was on. Absolutely. So for the moment, we are operating in the virtual learning environment, which means that we're also offering fee relief to our students in this tough time. So currently for diplomas in design with APC, it is $1,500 per term. The usual fee does depend on which state you are studying in, but usually is $2,500 per term, if I'm not mistaken.
Depending on the city, but for Sydney, yes.
Yes, it may vary by city or campus.
That's right. And for our other courses, non-design courses, they are $1,000 per term, which is why you may have gotten a little mixed up with those two. But yes, the design tuition fee relief is $1,500 per term. Just one more question for you, Daniella. In what spaces is it recommended to use a 2mm joint edge? And what's that joint for? I can't imagine a joint like that in my bedroom. That's what Andres said.
Okay, thanks, Andres. So the 2mm edges, or the bevel edges, I assume you're referring to, is more a visual aesthetic. So it's a design feature of the engineered boards. So you don't necessarily have to choose that board if that's not your preference. We do have options where it's less prominent or none at all. So it's just a look, really, more than anything, look and feel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Okay, do we have any more questions? You're welcome to jump on and ask Daniella one more question, or Rachel, about the course. No? Looks like that's it, girls.
All right. Well, if you guys think about something a little bit later that you didn't think of during the session, you can always send an email to us or contact APC about our courses on our website at using live chat, or for inquiries about our courses, you can email us at hello@apc.edu.au. So once again, I really want to thank Daniella so much for your time today and for giving us such amazing industry current information. I think it's really valuable to our students, and I definitely found it really interesting at a personal level. We thought we'd love to know what you guys think about the session today, and so if we could just ask you to fill out one more poll to let us know what you think, and we hope to see you at our next webinar. Thank you everyone so much for your time.
And please, if you do have any suggestions on webinars that you'd like to see at APC, you're more than welcome to go onto live chat and suggest that to somebody there online, or send us an email as well, because we're constantly looking for new presentations for you. And yeah, we're really excited by this. So we want to be doing these as regularly as possible. Great, lots of answers.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for having me, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniella. And just a reminder that the recording from today's session will be available on our YouTube channel under the Masterclass playlist.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.
Bye.